Not yet, not yet. Bitcoin check 1212.
I can hear you loud and
Okay,
clear.
we're live, guys. Put your questions. What's that? Christine, how's it going?
Good, it's going good.
How's everything? Hello, Instagram. Put your questions in there. Put the hearts in there. Put the likes in there. Put the wavy hands, okay? Put emojis. As many. Put an emoji that describes you today. Okay, mine would be a stock price going up, Bitcoin, but also the clinical research industry in general. Very bullish, extremely bullish. You guys need to hit the likes on Instagram. We need to confuse the algorithms. LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, as always, we salute you. I've got Christine Naro, okay? One of my dedicated Patreon members and the person who we're going to be going on Clubhouse with, and Rod. Shout out to Rod Raphael over there for holding down. Rod Raphael held down the fort for the Clubhouse. That Clubhouse on Friday, we're going to just start doing these Clubhouse every Friday. There's so much value there from a B2B perspective for clinical researchers. And Christine's going to be joining us now most Fridays too, if not all Fridays. Whenever she can, she will join us. Christine, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background, and I'm going to get the questions rolling on this live stream. Okay?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Dan, for the introduction. My name is Christine Naro, and I'm a clinical research coordinator in San Antonio, Texas. I've been in clinical research since 2017, and it kind of spanned when I got into ophthalmology. So my background is ophthalmology primarily, and I'm trying to become more of a generalist now. But my goal is to definitely increase diversity in clinical research and also move up in the industry.
Very good. You guys, if you like that, first of all, let me know if you can hear on Instagram. The volume's as loud as it's going to get on Instagram because we're doing this, interview style thing live on the other channels. But okay, thumbs up if you like it. Thank you. Keep the questions coming in. So Christine has coordinator experience. What's your plans? What's your goals for the next steps in your clinical research career, Christine?
So my plan is to either work for a CRO or a sponsor.
Okay, and you're well on your way to doing that. We don't need to discuss all of that unless you want to, but we don't have to. So, Christine, just wanted to give you guys some context on Christine as we start answering some questions. Okay, so first one says, hey, can you do a show on participant recruitment strategies, recruitment plans, tips, retention? This guy wants it all. I mean, you want everything. You're like, slow down a little bit. It's just Monday. It's only Monday so far. Need to recruit 1,200 participants within 12 months. All have to come for a visit for 2 hours. This is a logistical nightmare, even though I designed this study. Please help. So, may God be on your side, sir. This is a tough task, okay? This is challenging. I know from the question it's a COVID study, outpatient COVID. I guess the good news is you got a motivated audience of people who have COVID with mild symptoms. So these are not people going to the hospital. Pretty much like I was 2 months ago. Mild symptoms, but I did a study. So you got to get to these people somehow. I think I'm seeing a lot of Facebook campaigns from sponsors I'm working with on this with a landing page. So at minimum, you need a landing page, and you need to spend some money on Facebook campaigns. It doesn't sound like you are wanting to utilize other sites, and so that's going to be a problem because clinicians don't want to refer patients unless they're involved somehow in the study. And I was on a call with How to Clinical Research. What up? What up? What up? How about that Bitcoin today, huh? Um, I was on a call a few months ago with a sponsor. They're doing this virtual trial. I love the virtual trials, and they were saying that they want to get like similar to what this person was asking. They want to get 100 participants a month, but they don't know how to do it, and they don't want any sites involved. It's virtual, so they're the only site, but they would like my help in bringing them doctors to refer patients, and they'll pay the doctors a stipend. And I told them, this is never going to work. Here's why it's not going to work. These doctors want to do research. They want to be the PIs. They maybe at the least want to be sub-investigators. No doctor for $100 stipend is going to send you his or her patients that they treat, that they care for, to some random entity they know nothing about, nor do they know anything about the study. Will never work. Thank you, How to Clinical Research, for confirming. Of course, it's never going to work, but we know this, because we're at the ground level in research. But why do sponsors not understand this? So that's my answer to this person's question: is just be a little bit realistic. Gabby Marinello, let me know how the CRC Academy went. Shout out to another Patreon member, Gabby Marinello. Christine, you and Gabby need to get to know each other. Okay,
Okay.
she's a site owner in Miami. Got a lot going on for her. A lot of moving and shaking going on in the industry. Rod Raphael says make them sub-eyes. The sponsor doesn't want to do it, but hopefully you, viewer slash listener, will think otherwise and maybe allow sites. Okay, and I think you can find a lot of doctors who want to do research and want the experience, and maybe they could be sub-eyes for your study. So this is a multi-pronged approach, in my opinion, to getting patients. What do you think, Christine? You're involved in recruitment space a little bit. What do you think about this person's question?
So I was actually also a participant in one of the COVID trials, and I actually found out because my daughter was in a research study, and while I was sitting in the waiting room, the news came on and they said this site is doing COVID studies, and I actually went to the front desk and I signed up like right then and there. But that's another option, is to advertise on the local news.
So advertise on the local news. Like, oh, so okay, yeah, so maybe and not even advertise, maybe call your local news station or local news stations in small cities and because they're always looking for stories, and say, "Hey, good news. Okay, I'm bringing a COVID study to your sleepy town. And we're gonna make some noise. Here's a story you can report on." That's a good, unconventional, out of the box way to go about it, which you can never do in a big city. If you're in LA, Miami, New York, nobody cares. The media they're big time. But if you're like in Yuma, Arizona, or some other place like that, you could probably do it. So that's actually interesting. There is actually a lot of doctor interest for COVID. I agree. Rod Raphael also says, Christine, in addition to that, press release. Press release. So, Patricia, hello, Patricia from iMedris. Let us know what iMedris is. We're going to go through these comments at random. I pre-screened none of them. My PI is a nightmare. Research just isn't for him, and I need to switch him out. Already have a new PI and going to move the site across the street. Wow. Can you talk about that process? I have a few. Uh, I laugh because I actually did this before. Um, Not because the PI was a nightmare, but the PI was like stealing studies from me and created a new company behind my back. So I was like kicked to the curb. Um, but you have a new PI and you're going to move the site across the street. My concern would be, if you're, and How to Clinical Research says that's touchy. Definitely How to. This is like Maury Povich. We only deal with touchy topics. Okay, it's like Jerry Springer of clinical research here. We got drama. We bring drama to your social media platform. Your favorite one. My concern would be, if you're gonna move across the street, um, your current PI, if he keeps getting studies, or if he has builds a bad reputation for himself, your new site is going to get thrown into this branding that he's built. and you may not have, the sponsors may not know a difference between you and your other PI because, so I would go like further than across the street if possible. If you have no other possibility, go across the street and make sure you really focus heavily on rebranding your site, and hopefully your former PI doesn't do studies anymore. That's a tough one. That process is tough. You got to talk to the sponsors. The sponsors tend to side during disagreements like this. Usually, hey, we have an ongoing study, we need to transfer the budget to my new site. The sponsors tend to favor and take the side of the PI. Okay, so they're not really going to be on your side, they're going to be on the side of the PI. So maybe you're not going to get any contracts that you can take with you, you're going to have to start over. So I don't know the details. Oh, we get more details. We get more detail, it gets juicier. Uh, I have a few studies, but they only require one appointment, so there won't be a process of maintaining patients across PIs. What should I do first, and what do I do to ensure that my new PI is accepted by sponsors for existing studies? New PI has experience on 5 studies in the last year. I would call the sponsor. First of all, I would call your and thank you, Christine. Get those hearts going, guys, on the Instagram. We need to confuse and completely shock the algorithms on a Monday evening. Okay, so if I were you, Brian, I would contact the sponsor, your CRA first, and then let your CRA know, hey, this has been the issue with this guy. I already have a new PI. We're gonna transfer everything over, but then you still have to have your PI sign the contract over. So unless the sponsor just says, "Hey, forget this guy's contract, we're gonna move it over," I hate to tell you, it's not gonna be simple. And that's what I would do. I would focus on getting the contract switched over to your new site, get the new PI on board, get the sponsor to meet them. It's a very difficult situation. I've been in not exactly this situation, but similar, one that rhymes with this. And I have known other clients who have. It's actually a more common situation than you might think. There's a lot of drama out there, guys. What do you think about this, Christine? You're going to be a site owner one day. What do you think? Are you ready for all this?
Well, I'm ready for the challenge, and congratulations, Brian. Even though this is a tough situation, I'm congratulating you on the new site and your new PI. And I'm sending you a lot of good vibes. I hope that it really works out for you.
Yeah, actually, thank you for bringing it back to the positive, Christine. Dan, post this video when you are done, please, so I can rewatch it. Of course. It'll be perfectly posted on IGTV. Unless I hit the wrong button. It happened before. Video goes bye-bye. But it's going on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook also. So I think we're okay. We're okay. But yeah, Christine, thank you for bringing it back to the positive. It's always important to think positive. Brian is adding more color. He says PI has no ownership. CTA is all in my name. Did the PI sign the CTA anywhere? Because if so, sponsor might still give you a hard time. But let's be positive. At least you have a new PI. This could have happened to you and you don't have a new PI, right? So you have a PI. Worst case scenario, you have to start with new studies. Best case scenario, you can transfer over your studies to the new PI and it's all good. And then you get somewhere in between of a range of probabilities. Okay, Rod says you may have to go with new studies. Nancy Lockhart, how's it going? Thank you for the hearts. Smash the screen. How to Clinical Research says if the PI signed the CTA, you can read what they signed as. He's leaving us hanging. Okay, I don't know what the rest of this is gonna be. But let's go to Dr. Valdez, Science. Yeah, thank you for the hearts, guys. I'm a Hispanic international medical graduate and would love to work as a clinical researcher while I'm studying for my board examinations. How can I get that job if I live outside the US? So where do you want to live permanently? I mean, if it's in the US, then I think you just have to move here first. So give me more info on that one before I can answer the question. Because my answer to you is IMG graduate, it's study coordinator. Okay. International medical graduate when they come to the United States. Study coordinator all the way. And if it's a small enough site, they're going to love to have you, and they're going to love to know that you're going to go to med school and try to get your license, because what do sites always need? They need more investigators to join them. Look at Brian. Brian, one of his PIs not good. Of course Brian needs backup PIs. Look at what's going on over here. All right, you guys see. You guys see what's going on. So that's what I would do if I were you, is a study coordinator all the way. The smaller the site, the better in your case. Any more questions? Get your questions on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, up here on Instagram too. Instagram has been extremely engaged. Uh, we're very happy in regards to Instagram. What do you think about this, Christine, about the international medical graduate?
I think that it's a great opportunity for you if you do become a coordinator, because you want to learn the basics of research before you go into those higher levels and build a foundation in any industry.
Mm-hmm.
One of my managers was actually a foreign MD, and he was very knowledgeable in ophthalmology and in research. It made him powerful.
You see? Generalist there. And let's go to Instagram really quick before we get to the other question. They can sign as a party. Oh, so how to clinical research, providing more info on the previous how to assign your contract. They can sign as a party or as an acknowledgement of their PI duties. Yep. Val Brooks says, just added 6 sub-Is to my updated 1572. Lots of sub-Is needed. Exactly. And Val Brook knows that doctors are just like seeds. Okay, you plant them on the 1572, you water them, you put them in the right soil, which is your clinic. You water them with your training, and probably make it interesting for them, right? Whether it's money, whether it's prestige, you're cultivating them. You're gonna grow. They're gonna grow into beautiful PIs one day that will not leave you like they did with Brian and force you to move across the street. They'll make you grow together and be happy. And Val Brook put 2 hearts on there, and everybody who agrees with this should smash the screen. Um, let's do it. Patricia is explaining what iMedRis is. I've never heard of it, but it's a cool name. Provides clinical trial, human subject research ethics, and grants management software, among many things. We support the research compliance by providing streamlined documentation process, and we also enable researchers in multiple disciplines a venue to collaborate. This was a free ad by Patricia, but this is really cool. There's all kinds of opportunities in this space, guys. Nancy Lockhart, CRC Academy student. One of my friend's daughters is a veterinarian. I've told her about my studies in the CRC academies. Are PI positions available for veterinarians? They do animal studies. So yes, there are clinical trials for animals, but it's not nowhere near as robust as for humans. I mean, it's like a rare, very rare thing. If you can imagine how rare it is for just an average physician to do clinical research, it's like 100 times more rare for a veterinarian to do it. And they have like ethics committees and things like that too. Usually, when you think of animal studies, you think of like preclinical. So if we're talking about doing studies on sick animals, I know vets do that, but it's more like investigative initiated trials that they're doing. And it's tough. It's tough for a veterinarian and stuff. It's
Dan,
tough.
I
Any?
actually I actually
Yeah.
have some experience in animal research. I was a project manager assistant for the military, and they do some
Oh, perfect.
animal research. Their IRB is called the Aya Cook, and those are the
What is it?
people that Aya Cook.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are the people that protect the animal rights. It was a big deal in San Antonio because it was at one of the military bases. They even had people protesting back in the day, but now it's kind of on the DL.
Really? And so what kind of studies were they doing? Like on just on like preclinical stuff on animals or like or what?
Right. Like, for example, like a stent, a heart stent, stuff like that.
Wow. Interesting. How and what was your so your career yeah, Nancy says thank you. I will share this info with her mom. So what do you think about Nancy's question? Like what do you am I on the right track here?
Yes, I think you're right. I've only seen them hire mostly like vet techs for those positions because, of course, the people that are doing the research are PhDs or MDs. But I agree. I think it would be a great opportunity for her.
And can we confirm what Patricia's putting on the screen is correct? This sounds
Yes.
right. Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee. Wow. Now, anybody out there that knows of them doing animal studies on sick animals, like let's take for example like some kind of cancer for an animal. I don't know if they do these kind of things. I know the vets sometimes experiment. They're allowed to experiment, like experimental treatments. Um, I don't know if there's any official like study on sick animals. I know they do animal studies all the time in preclinical, and like Christina was saying, um, in the military as well. How to clinical research put a unicorn? Is that Kristaps Porzingis on the Dallas Mavericks? Val Brook, are those tested on animals before those trials anyways? Just curious. I don't know. I have no idea. We need somebody from like I interviewed a long time ago. None of you guys probably even remember because this was so long ago. I have interviewed like a preclinical animal study expert, but this was like 2012, guys. I had no beard, I had no gray hairs. It was like a different person. So I should just interview them again. So what are you excited about, Christine, going forward?
Well, I'm excited that COVID-19 has brought a lot of attention to the research industry. And I'm excited for all of us here watching the live or that are connecting and networking with Dan and each other to get ahead in the industry.
That's good. That's good stuff. And Clubhouse, I'm very excited about Clubhouse. I'm actually, I can't use my phone because it's being used right now for Instagram, but I think I have a image quote coming out for Instagram soon. Uh, it's like a race track, and it says, you know what? It doesn't matter if you finish last or you finish first in this year. As long as you're in the race, you're gonna do well. Okay, you're not going to do well. You can't do well if you're on the sidelines. All right. So when you're in like such a busy industry, this is going to be a record breaking year. I don't care if you guys are entry level or like business owners or senior level executives. If you are in the game, you have a chance to do really well. You have a chance for it to be your best year ever just by being associated. A rising tide raises all ships. And so I really believe in that. And I just came up with 3 more quotes for Carlos. So Carlos is going to be busy. We're going to watch this, Carlos, at minute 23:30. Just go back 1 minute and you'll see. Clinical trial skills are transferable skills for some research. Pet owned animals required consent forms too. Yep, yep. And you're right. You're absolutely right. That is transferable skill to human clinical trials. Absolutely right. Nancy also says, great information, Patricia. Shout out to Patricia today. Yes, preclinical is 2 animal models. I have submitted IACUC protocol. People, you guys know all about this stuff. And I love the race, Stephanie. We all are part of the race. We are in the race. The only way you're guaranteed to not do anything is to be on the sidelines and watch everybody else go by. If you're at NASCAR, you're just watching cars going in a circle. You don't win. There's no way you can win. If you're in NASCAR, even last place, I think you still get something for being last place. I'm pretty sure. They don't do it for free. So, just something to consider for getting into clinical research. Clubhouse, have you been experimenting, Christine, with Clubhouse as a Patreon member? Uh, have you been playing around with this?
Yes, I have been on Clubhouse and I started a room for ophthalmic techs as well. Um, And it's been interesting. I mean, there's all sorts of topics. The only thing that I have to say that I don't like is that sometimes if you don't speak up when you need to, the conversation keeps going, so you kind of lose your place in line. But other
I
than that,
noticed that.
it's been really helpful, and I'm learning a lot and getting a lot of new ideas and networking as well on there too.
I noticed that there's like its own form of etiquette to be in a clubhouse, which I haven't figured out yet. Uh, Rod says it's okay to be in the clubhouse, but you have to be in the race. Yes. You gotta be in, see, if you're, here's the thing. If you're in the clubhouse, you're like almost in the race. Maybe you are in the race if you're already working in the industry, but maybe you're using Clubhouse as a tool to get yourself into the race. But if all you're doing is sitting on Clubhouse, I mean, I guess that's better than just watching Netflix. You know, at least you're putting your thoughts towards clinical research or whatever it is you might want to do. I'm in a lot of like cryptocurrency rooms in there. I listen a lot more than I talk on a Clubhouse. Uh,
So
Rod Raphael got 3 new invites. So if you want, guys, get up in Rod Raphael's DMs. Slide up in his DMs.
I was going to
Yes,
ask you,
Christine.
Dan. I know that we can't record, but can we talk about the topics that they discussed?
Yeah, of course. You know what? It's very interesting. There are some venture capitalists that I follow. Mark Andreessen's one of them. And so I go in those rooms. There's no way I'm gonna talk in that room. I'm just there to absorb. I'm in the world of venture capital. I'm trying to get into that race. Okay, so I'm in the clubhouse, absorbing, and there are undercover, like, media reporters in there, and they know that they might say something that's like kind of off the record because it's meant to be this like informal thing. So one of the people in the room was like, "Hey guys, just to let you know, this reporter, she's a nasty reporter from the New York Times. She's using a burner account, and she's in this room, so be careful what you say." And
Wow.
then New York Times person got mad and started going off on the people in the room, and it was crazy. So you're absolutely right, Christine. There are issues there. There definitely are issues, and honestly, people can record it. You just screen share, right, or like screen record, or you can just use another device and record it. It's not hard to do. So still be careful, even though it's meant to be spontaneous conversation that's just stays there. Just know it's on the internet. Anything can be recorded, and apparently that industry is already thriving in the space. Who else? Anybody else got stuff on Instagram? Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Rod Raphael has 3 invites, he says, but you have to take action. He doesn't want to waste time on you if you're not going to take action. So you're not going to get an invite unless you take action from Rod. But I don't know how you're going to confirm that, Rod, beforehand. You got to be a fortune teller. But maybe you can pre screen them, ask them questions. What are your thoughts on PMP? So I think this is professional. What is PMP? Is something with project management, right? Project management professional, I think is what the acronym is. I always get these acronyms mixed up. PMP, look, I've said this before. I think project managers are the most underpaid and stressed out positions in research. I don't know how they do it. The few times I've contracted with CROs, and these are not even big CROs, these are mid-sized CROs that I've contracted because I'm a contract CRA. Oh, and that brings us to another question, so I'm glad I didn't end it. I do have another question, and it's about contract CRA, actually. So I'm going to pull that up. But basically, they're asking, how do you get started as a contract CRA? And let's answer this question first. So, project managers, very stressed out. Like, you have to really love process, systems. I think if you have no research experience, but you are PMP certified, I think the harder of those two to accomplish is clinical research experience in the mind of the employer. So I still think if you have a PMP, you should still spend some time either as an in-house CRA or not a CRA. I don't think you'll get hired as a CRA with no experience, but like in-house CRA or site startup specialist or remote monitor, just to put in that time, put in that 1 year, put in that 2 year maybe, and then now your PMP, once you combine it with clinical research experience, now it's like exponentially better. And yes, they need people like you who manage processes. Look, whenever there's a issue at in a study, whether it's from the sponsor, whether it's from the site level, whether patients are getting SAEs, everybody comes to the project manager and says, "How do we fix this? What's going on? What do we do? Keep us on track." All this stuff. Okay, so PMP is tough, but I think it's a good career, but I think they are underpaid. But I don't think that's going to change just because I'm saying it. Got another question. You agree, Christine? What, you have experience with PMP?
I've been project manager assistant, but not the actual project manager, and I know that it is a lot of work. You are going to have at least one or more assistants to help you. So I definitely think that it is a rewarding job. It's a good position because you're not, you have help, but sometimes you can become overwhelmed if you have too many projects, just like
Yeah.
a coordinator.
And the project manager assistant work just as hard as the project manager, other than you're not the one that gets called from the sites when they're not getting paid, or from the sponsor when a CRA is not doing what they're supposed to do, or but you're the one helping your project manager. It's tough. I've worked with assistant project managers as well. They do a lot of work. Oftentimes, as a CRA, the project manager's so busy, you're going to end up talking to the assistants more than the actual project manager. How is setting up the new clinic? Does moving to a new state change how things work? No, not really. Especially when you're going from California to anywhere else. Uh, just about all regulations are even easier. Um, Taxes are better usually. Uh, the fundamentals don't change. You need a doctor. You need a doctor with a good private practice. You need patience. You need to. It's the same thing going from another state, other than the support system that you've grown accustomed to. Like, we can go into like the really nitty gritty details. For example, finding a calibration vendor for my equipment. Like here, we've worked with the same guy for 10 years. He'll calibrate any piece of equipment you have. He'll calibrate. And I know I've talked to clients in other states who own sites, and they don't have someone like him there. So it's like different vendors for each piece of equipment. So little things like that are going to be challenging. I am going to be near a big hospital, so I think I could find out who they use as their vendor. Um, and so uh, moving to a new state doesn't change much fundamentally. It changes a few details, of course, because things are different in different areas. But I'm moving to a place where there's zero research, like this many clinical research studies there. So I'm gonna feel pretty good about that. At least I think. At least I think. Ah, we got a question today. See, Christine, you bringing out all the questions. I mean, people love having guests on. Christine, you're doing a really good job as co-host today. Matter of fact, I think you should have your own podcast. You have a lot to say, a lot of good stuff to say, a lot of interesting things to say. How does we actually did a video on this today?
Think
How does a nurse practitioner transition to clinical research? So, and I will get to your question, Rod. Um, but let's do this one. How does a nurse practitioner transition to clinical research? I just did a video today with a nurse practitioner. So go to YouTube, go to Dan Sfera, click subscribe, like, comment, and share on that video. You're going to see me interviewing. Speaking of new clinics, we're building a new clinic here in California before I moved to Arizona. And we're merging, what we're doing here, we're merging two smaller clinics in Southern California that I own into one big clinic, halfway between both. So one is in LA, the other one's in South Orange County, and we're going to pick a place in the middle and merge these two clinics. It's going to be a mega clinic. And this nurse practitioner is going to be there seeing patients every single day, private practice, private practice, private practice. So, and the way she got into research is as a sub investigator and as a rater, because she's a psychiatric NP. If you're not a psychiatric NP, There's probably no rating assessments, but there are assessments that you can do because NPs basically do everything doctors do everything medical doctors do. So in some states, you can even review lab results and EKGs and things like that. So there's a lot of value for NPs. Like Rod Raphael says, NPs are the bomb. If you are a nurse practitioner and you want to transition to research, just Google. Matter of fact, we can do this live. Oh, and you saw the video with Moombi. Shout out to Moombi. She's my NP. She's an amazing person. And we just did a video with her. Um, the way she got started was as a sub investigator. So where are you located? Because I will do this for you right now. We're gonna do it live. I'm gonna Google your city, and I'm going to show you what clinics you need to call tomorrow, or email, or find on LinkedIn, and tell them you're an NP that wants to Atlanta. Okay, this is gonna be easy. Let's do Atlanta clinical. I'm just going on Google, guys. Anybody can do this. Atlanta Clinical Research Site. You want to avoid big institutions like Emory and all that. They don't. It's too much. You just need to get in. You need to get in somewhere. So there's one Atlanta Center for Medical Research. It's closed right now, but it opens tomorrow at 8 a.m. Their number is 404-881-5800. They're located on 501 Fairburn Road, Southwest. That's one. There's Atlanta Vascular Research. There's Atlanta Clinical Research Centers. There's tons of sites in Atlanta. You need to contact all of them. Find the owners, find the people who work there on LinkedIn and say, I'm an NP. If I had NPs calling me, like, are you kidding? Of course we want to work with you. We would open a new clinic for an NP if you have the right patient population. Um, how much capital would you need saved in cash for starting a new research clinic? Your living expenses for 9 months at the least. That's the least. Okay. Your living expenses for 9 months. If you're going to need to pay rent for your site, sometimes you don't have to. If you can get the PI to let you use their office or the NP sub I to let you use their office for free, you don't need to pay rent. If you have to pay rent, that's extra. Also, if you're using their office, they probably have most of the equipment you need, so you might just need like a refrigerator, a random centrifuge here and there, a couple $100. So really, it's your living expenses for 9 months, because I'm assuming you would be the coordinator. If not, if you're gonna hire a coordinator, you need a coordinator salary for 9 months, because you're not gonna get paid for at least 9 months. And that's 9 months from getting a study, not from like you deciding I want to do research. 9 months from you getting a study. Okay. So that's how you do it in Atlanta. Why am I moving to Yuma? Wife is from there. We plan on settling down for a little bit. There's an opportunity there with a hospital in the area. Like I said, there's zero research there, so there's an opportunity there for really like doing a flip. I've never done this where I've created a clinic just to sell it, but that's my goal. I have a 4 or 5 year plan. Go into this town that we're already comfortable with. We don't care that it's small and nobody likes it. It's like 300,000 people. I've had enough crowds. I'm here in Southern California, so I welcome being in a small town. And I'm still gonna come here every month to take care of business. Stay in different Airbnbs and things like that. But yeah, flip it. I try to in 4 to 5 years. I want to sell it to the hospital, and they're gonna pay. I hear, boku bucks for this kind of thing. And we got a bunch of questions. Jeez. Okay. Uh, yeah, keep those likes going, guys. Thank you so much. And Hadron, we just had you on. We love this guy. Thank you so much. Um, PM versus CRA for an IMG. Using a lot of acronyms. Good thing I know what these things mean. Okay. Project manager versus clinical research associate for an international medical graduate. Which one is better? I think CRA is better. But you're not going to get CRA. You're going to have to go CRC first and then go CRA. I think CRA is better for me personally. Maybe you like project management, but being a clinician by training, CRAs are more on the clinician spectrum than project managers are. Uh, so that's that. Is there ways for IMGs to become a PI or sub-I? Sub-I, yes. PI, no. Sub-I, yes. PI, no. What should be given as compensation to a healthy volunteer in a clinical study? They get paid a lot. It depends on what's all involved, and I mean, I know some phase one sites for some studies, the patients get paid like $300 a day, and it's like a 30-day study, some even more. It depends on what's all involved and what the IRB approves, right? And phase one are tricky because I don't know how else, like healthy volunteer are very tricky studies because there is no benefit other than altruism and money for the volunteer. Like they're not sick, they're not trying to find a better treatment, for themselves. They have nothing but downside in being in the study, right? So you got to compensate them appropriately for their time, and for what's required of them as far as risk reward. There is no real reward other than altruism and getting paid. So they get paid a lot, and there's no other benefit for healthy volunteer. But good question, good question. If anybody else has better answers, just throw them down here. And an Instagram too. Happy Monday, guys. You guys are asleep, but just wake up. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go walk Sonic in a little bit, and I'm dying to answer more questions. Christine's dying. How are you doing over there, Christine?
I'm doing good. So I wanted to share with you that earlier, one of the questions that came up on Clubhouse was, what if they monetize data? And I was thinking that that is a good idea because one of my friends that doesn't know anything about clinical research asked about that. But then I said, well, that's kind of against, GCP because it would be considered coercion. So what do you think about that, Dan?
So yeah, it's coercion. I mean, for phase one, it's coercion. But as far as getting the data, like, what do you mean? Like the patients getting data, their own data?
Yes, so you know how we use their data, they would basically be monetized for every data point
Ah,
that
yes, yes. I've heard similar things. I've heard that there's some company that's trying to find a way to incorporate blockchain with a token reward for that blockchain. So maybe Dogecoin. I don't think it's Dogecoin, but something like Dogecoin that's worthless, but really the value is in what people believe it to be worth at some future price point. Um, I don't. Yeah, you can argue that it's coercion, but the only way for what the industry is trying to, and the technology is not there yet, but in silico trials, which are basically your digital twin, there's this whole concept around this idea of your digital twin. So the technology is getting so good, we know how proteins even fold now. We can predict how the protein's going to fold. So you can like scan your body at that point in time because your body changed, right? So scan your genome, your body at that point in time, create your clone, your digital clone that lives in a computer, and then do studies on your clone. They're talking about doing things like that. So yeah, you would still need access. Like it's still me. It's a derivative of me because it's my data, right? This is what
Mhm.
these people are getting towards, and that's coming. There's no way around that. That technology is gonna only get stronger. That stuff's coming. It'll be a matter of time. Now, you won't be able to do every study like this because you still need the real in vivo studies, not in silico for the most part. But I think in 50 years, maybe 30, that's going to be here. It's not going to change being a site or it might change being a site because but you still need access to the original person. Like eh, just because you have a digital clone somewhere doesn't mean, I mean, what's the benefit for that person to be in it other than the blockchain reward? Maybe prescribing a treatment to the real person based on the study from the clone so that the clone experiences the hypothetical AEs and SAEs and the person doesn't. The person only gets the benefits. We're a long ways from that. We're a long ways from that, but it's a very interesting thought experiment. All you bioethicists out there, I know there's tons of you out there that have an opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think. But yeah, that's coming, Christine. Good. They talk about this kind of stuff on Clubhouse. A lot of it is like just this very macro level kind of conversations, and I prefer more of the get your hands dirty. But that's all real. It's all real stuff. In silico, guys. Forward clinical research. How's it going? Okay, Moonby. Shout out to Moonby. Okay, last one. Well, there we got another one too. Okay, so which route is best for a pharmacist to get research experience? CRC or CRA? I mean, it depends what I can't answer this because I don't know what's best for you, you know. Maybe best is more money. Well, usually CRAs make more money. Um, however, CRCs don't have to travel, and so maybe you looking for a position where you don't have to travel, it's impossible to give you an answer because I'm not you. You know, I'm not Lolia 16. But it's a very nice logo you have with the flowers. I feel very peaceful looking at reading your question. Um, I don't know which route is best. I don't think as a pharmacist you're going to even be allowed to be a CRA at most places. So I think the CRC route. So maybe the answer is it's irrelevant what I think is best because you have to go CRC first usually. You can go in-house CRA maybe, but you're not going to go straight CRA. And the people who are loving Christine are gonna have to have you on more often as a regular. That was a very interesting question, says Christine, regarding the digital twin. And this is why Clubhouse is so cool, you know. Rod Raphael says inpatient studies pay pharmacists well. Inpatient studies pay pharmacists well. That's right. Yes, they do. But you have to be licensed in that state to be the pharmacist, right? You can't be a foreign pharmacist.
Can
Uh,
pharmacists be medical science liaisons?
Yes, most of them actually are. Most MSLs are pharmacists, but you have to be a licensed pharmacist in that state where you're going to be the MSL. You can't be a foreign trained pharmacist for that. Unfortunately, they got their criteria at most of these places. Any other questions? I'll leave the other question I got for another podcast because that one I could really go in depth, but we need to end this with thoughts from Christine. And while she's doing that, I need to see likes, comments, shares on all platforms. We're going to do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're going to continue doing the podcast. We're going to continue doing the vlogs. We've got a lot going on right now. 2021 is time for you to be on the field, not in the stands, because even a broken clock is right twice a day, but if you're sitting in the stands, it don't count. Christine, take it away.
Hey everyone, I just want to send you all positive vibes and a good rest of the week. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you like and subscribe to Dan, the clinical research guru, and stay tuned for more information.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Catch y'all later.